exciting episode of Flash Talks, the Uncut Edition, where we have real conversations, tackle real issues, and seek real solutions. I'm your host, Edgar Bennett, and with me is Mikey G. And thank you for joining us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Tonight's topic is one that sparks debate, emotions, and plenty of opinions. The topic is men as marriage material. Before we begin, I'd like you to participate. So in the comment section, please tell us what makes a man marriage material. One word or one phrase or one quality. And we'll be reading your comments throughout the show. Welcome, Mikey G.
Thank you, Edgar. Just as you start the conversation, I'm happy to be here. And of course, this topic sounds like something that is really, at this time, necessary to be had. It's been an elephant in the room for a long time, and much have been talked about. So, yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, indeed. Welcome. Happy to have you. And we'll get right into the conversation after this short break. So please don't go away. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
How to produce your podcast? Flashpoint Media makes it very easy. We can relieve you of the headache by recording your podcast for you. So, take the first step to getting your content to your desired audience. Contact us here at Flashpoint and your podcast will be live in no time. Our website is www.flashpointmedia.ky or call us at 345-321-6969. That's 345-321-6969.
And welcome back. First, let us set the context. We're talking about marriage, and it's very important for us to consider the context of marriage. Now, the marriage we're talking about is a marriage between a man and a woman, female and male. So we're not talking about civil partnerships and same-sex unions. These are not recognized as marriage. Hence, such relationships are not included in this discussion. So when we hear the phrase marriage material, what comes to mind? For some people, it's money. For others, it's maturity. Some think of love. Others believe it's responsibility. But here's the reality. Marriage isn't simply about finding someone to love. It's about finding someone who is prepared to build a life, a happy life with another person. So tonight, we are not asking whether men are perfect. We're asking about what makes a man good marriage material. So what qualities makes a man ready for marriage? And perhaps even a harder question is, are today's men being prepared for marriage or merely for success? Mikey G.
Edgar, that's a very loaded question right there, From the offset of it, what makes a man basically marriage material? I would go off the bat and say a man who's capable of earning money and can take care of himself and a wife and a family is automatically marriage material. And that's the standard of it. I mean, there in this society there are so much more to consider because of the way the world has been cultured. So there's much more to say. But I would say what makes a man a marriage material, it is just the fact that he's able to take care of himself, take care of a family, and he's ready to go. He's working. He's a working man and willing to work and earn honest wages for his time.
So, so one of the things that is very significant to a man is that ability to earn. And a man will feel less than a man if he's not earning. But while it's important to have a job or to be able to earn, how important is character though?
That is
How
really
important is character in being?
that's the conversation right there. That's why I paused a while ago and said, there are more things to consider in
Yeah.
terms of just ability to earn, because then you have persons who are of very unscrupulous nature, are just not really good people. When I say not really good people, just not good people. I don't want to kind of like discuss why they're not good people, but we all know that you can see somebody who's of good standards and have good qualities versus somebody who don't have those good qualities, right? So I guess that is part of the package that it comes with, that the person must have some good qualities about them, or the qualities must be good about them, and being able to have this package together would more than likely qualify them to be eligible for the occasion of marriage.
But what normally catches the eye of a woman though? In your opinion, what do you think catches the eye of a woman? Is it
Well,
is it the job first, or is it the character?
Come on, say it again. Is it what first?
Is it the job, the ability to earn, or is it the character?
If you're going off today's worldview of what catches the eye of a woman these days, I would say to you, it is about money. How do you do with character or anything else? Today's worldview on who is likely to be dated or get the girl, in this sense, it is the man who have money, or seemingly have money. Don't have to have a cent, but he might look as if he does. And so this is the person that is attractive. The character is not so much. That is arguable, because there are people who are going to say, no, that's not good character. But then if you start to tick off the list of things of why women choose men in these times, you would see character as possibly the last thing on the list.
Yes. So when we talk about character here, we are talking about having integrity, being honest, having emotional stability, possessing self-control, those finer qualities. Now, there are three things that are very significant for a man. A man wants to be able to earn, yes, have a good job. A man wants to know that he can build or purchase his home, and he wants to acquire a very suitable vehicle, a vehicle that is suitable to his taste. And I remember my brother, well, with mixed feelings, because my brother passed away recently. But for him, he wanted to ensure that he first had his house, he first had his car, before getting married. Now he got his house, got his car, but unfortunately he passed away before getting married.
Wow.
And Mikey G, I've heard it said very, very often too, that for women, their main problems, or three of their main problems, begin with men.
Like menopause?
Menopause, menstruation, and mental illness. However, I'm convinced that the solution to women's problems begin with men also. And firstly, it's the man, Christ Jesus. Secondly, mental health. And you alluded to money earlier in our conversation. So many persons may have this notion that money is not important, that women are looking forward to character. But
No,
a woman is not going
no,
to marry a man who is not able
not,
to
not,
take
maybe
care
before no.
of.
Maybe before no.
No, money is important.
Maybe, maybe 20 years ago, 40, 30 years ago.
Yes,
But not no.
it's more than, it's just more than love.
Yes.
Because many women will tell you, or many women who have divorced or who are thinking of divorce will tell you that I love my husband, or I loved my husband, but the love was clearly not enough. So before we continue, I would like to ask our audience this question, and you could type it in the chat. What character or what quality do you believe every husband should possess? What quality or characteristic do you believe every husband should possess?
Or in this sense, every man who desires to be a husband.
Every man who desires to be a husband, or what quality, if you're unmarried and you're looking forward,
Speaking of husband, what qualities are you looking for?
husband, what quality or qualities are you looking for in that individual? Love versus money, Mikey G. Tell us why it is that money plays such an important role. Why can't we just look past the finances and focus more on the romance?
Well, as we know, there's a rule of law that suggests that man must have money. It is a high part in this sense. He must be able to be fruitful, so he can multiply. And so I would use that avenue or that understanding to express and expound upon this question. That in the fruitfulness in today's world, it would be in money. Money didn't start when that statement was made. Money never existed at all. But what was existing was sheep and vegetables and whatever else and everything else. However that worked out and however that's supposed to go at that time, I'm not certain about should work. But the objective is that man should be fruitful. He should be someone who is able to take care of himself and take care of someone else, and then he can multiply and can continue to do that process. So yes, money is very key to every relationship, but then what we are looking at is not just money is the issue now. It is how much money that one person may have. And so most women are not looking, especially westernized women, are not looking for a man who earns, if you're somebody in the US, $50,000 or less. They're not looking for anyone like that a year.
One of the real concerns that I have seen, that I have observed over the years, is that there are many men who could be considered less intellectually capable than their significant others at that particular time, and then later on as their spouse, their wives. But they took the time, they made the sacrifice to allow their significant other or their wife at the time to pursue her studies, to equip herself,
education,
to get a good education, so to speak.
Right. Yes.
And then after the wife or the significant other achieved that good education, that wife or significant other left the man. So how do we explain that scenario? Because in my view, that man would have submitted, that man would have sacrificed, that man would have made a significant investment. That man would have acknowledged that yes, the wife is more capable in this area than I am. So I'm allowing her to push ahead, so to speak. I'm allowing her to advance, to enhance our relationship, to enhance our future. But then the wife acquires this certification or this qualification, and all of a sudden they now become incompatible or unequally yoked.
You're not touching a very small topic right there now, Edgar. You're not touching a small topic, That has been a big problem in relationships forever, right? Where the man sends his wife off to be to be educated or higher learned, and then he did not do anything more, but he's continued because he's satisfied with himself, but she's up there. And then next thing when I was in college, my professor at the time, a man named Mr. Smalling, he told us a story about Farmer Joe. So Farmer Joe has lots of land and he's had a very successful career in farming. Plenty money, tractors, workers, everything you can think about, right? He has that. And so Farmer Joe says, honey, you are here, you're a nice woman, young lady, everything. I'm going to send you off to be a school teacher. I want you to, you like to help the kids do with their homework and everything. Why don't you I want to send you off to be a teacher because I see that you love these things because that's what you do in your spare time. And so she thought about it and said, well, that sounds good. I would definitely go. And so she went off to college. And so Farmer Joe sent his wife off to college and she went off and got her degree and everything. And she came back and started working at the local school and she just excelled, right? However, one day in question, Farmer Joe came in the house and she was putting on her clothes to go out. And Farmer Joe says, well, where are you going? And says, well, I'm going to a function with my colleagues. It automatically, at this point, exempted Farmer Joe because Farmer Joe was not a part of the colleagues. So, he couldn't go. So immediately, he was not qualified now to sit in the same room as she did. So we find that this party, at times, not in every situation. I'm not going to say a big brush and cover everything, but my mother would say, listen, my son, make the lady parents send them to school, you're not them father. Send them go to school. That's what my mother would say, right? My mother, not my father. My mother would say that. Let them parents send the lady to school and then you will take it from you. But you send woman to school, you're going born for loser. And it is if many men are listening to this podcast and listening to this conversation, and many ladies too, would have found themselves in a situation where they would have been in a relationship with a man who tirelessly work hard, send her to school, further her education, and she's not any longer with him because he suddenly become a bum, he's not qualified, he's not a progressive person, he just want to just stay in them old ways and he want to advance himself, and these are the conversation that comes from that narrative. So I just look at it and I say this is a whole can of worm all by itself.
Indeed. Mikey G, let me pause to just read some of the comments or the questions or viewers have sent us. How many men have educated women who are now too good for him?
How many men has educated women
who are now too good for him? No.
That's a whole lot of women. That's a whole lot of women.
A whole lot of women.
But whole lot. Whole bunch.
But moving on from that though, Mikey G, what I have heard some women say is that they have set like some minimum requirements, and if those are not met, they're going to remain single for the rest of their lives. Now, how do you view that?
I will say this to you quickly. What we look at is that we have a lot of professional women these days, and so as it stands, women are getting more educated than men, as the statistics says. But I would go to the understanding to say, look at the statistics one, and say that men are getting women are not going to get married to a man if he is not of a certain status or whatever it is. That's only for a short time in a woman's life. Because what happened to our ladies is that women don't understand the aging process, and a woman's value is linked to her beauty and her youth in a lot of ways. Not how much money you make and the career you have. That has nothing to do with that. You could be anything you want to do in your life, and you're not valuable to a man for no reason at all. Don't care what career you have, no matter who you could be the prime minister. It don't have that value because he's looking for two things. You understand? He's looking for that two dominant things. That your youthfulness is one of them.
Yes.
All right. And so that career that a lot of women are using as a platform to stand up to say, I'm a successful woman, and so men are going to be rushing me. No. Because right away, and then here's the next side of that, men are intimidated by my success. No, a man don't want a woman to be a boss in his yard. And so she won't come in to submit to him. She want the man to submit to her. And so this is the whole the thing that start to create another all different kettle of fish, right? And so this is a man will choose a hairdresser over a lady who's a lawyer or any other career choice who considered to be a very prominent career, just because of the fact that when he says to her, "My honey, this is what we're going to do," she said, "Okay." Or she listens to him, or agrees with him, or communicate with him in his way that he likes to talk, understand him, right? And so the career-driven woman, you have to understand her, and she is insisting that you understand her. And if you don't understand her, you can't live together. And that is usually the way it goes, because you can't find two bulls in the same pen. And so she has moved herself from just being an ordinary woman to be an extraordinary man, right? And so she expects to share the female attributes while acting like a man in the relationship. It can't work.
But here's one of the things, though, I think many women overlook or don't seem to understand. And you alluded to it just now. But from the context of a man wanting to feel wanted, because very often the onus is on the men to make the woman know and understand or demonstrate to the woman that she's wanted. But it goes both ways. And very often women do not understand that a man wants to know that he is wanted by his woman, by his wife.
But here is, here's a big issue that a lot of ladies don't know, and a lot of men don't know either. What I know for a fact is that aging is a very significant thing. It's not a simple thing. When you were young, you don't have to do anything to just jump up off the seat. And everybody read between the lines. I'm not going to say anything more than that. just jump up off the seat, and everything is ready to go. When they get older, a little more pampering might be necessary, because the system is now working not at the full drive as you are youthful, and it is the same for both male and female. There's something that is always going to go. So for a man, in that sense, he is always going to need someone who at some point appreciate him, for him to be getting in the mood or the atmosphere of being able to do much in that regard. Which means if you have somebody who is really not aligned with you and chemically connected and is somewhat a turn off for you because of the conversation, the attitude that the person may have, and just the disposition, then more than likely, as a man, you will not be functioning at the best quality. And that lady will say, this man him have no use. That's the thing. But then the same man go down the road and Miss Jane rub him head and make him know, say, him are the best man in the world. And he is like a woodpecker boring holes in every tree you can find. What's the problem? It has nothing to do with him can't function. He has a mental block and he will not function with you. And you know having a problem, not the man. You know? And so, because he's going to know, find that Miss Jane all the time, because it's a different problem.
So there's much more to it than the physical.
It's much more. It's not just physical. No.
And the chemistry, in order for the chemistry to get going, there needs to be an appreciation. There needs to be.
Here's one for you. So this man, he decides that he's having a problem, and the problem he's having, he can't keep it up. All right, he can't keep it up. So when he go to this man where can mix up a little portion for him, and him say, well, what you do is this. All you have to do, may I give you 3 tries. This portion, when you take it, you have 3 tries. When you say zoom, boom, boom, it will stand up. All right? And when you say boom, boom, it go down. Okay? So when he was there, he has 3 tries to do this, And the man gave him the portions and take it. And said, just to test it to see if it works, as the man said, to see if he's not spending money right. He goes up, boom, and it stand up. And he goes up, boom, boom, and it go down. He said, yes, me ready now. And so he went in and he said, call and said, Darius, come now, Darius. And he bring her in, run into the room, and he goes up, and he go, he carry her in and say, you ready, Darius? You ready? And he goes up, and he said, yes, me ready. And he goes up, zoom. And Darius says, stop it, zoom, and come now.
But I want to use that example though Mikey G, to underscore the importance of being healthy.
I say that to say this. Let me tell you what I say it for.
Yes.
As you get older, you need that lady to be able to initiate some things, because that's what going to make the Zoom work.
Yes.
But if she become hostile, she's a zoom.
Yes. But
you understand me?
Yes.
She become a zoom. And if you go and any man encounter a zoom, he's not going to want to stick around that zoom too long, because it's not going to make anything work for you.
Yes.
So the attitudes have to be different.
Yes. So we know that on the woman's part, she will need to initiate, but on the man's part,
and that the man shouldn't either. But
on the man's part, if he's going to be good marriage material, he will need to be healthy, and he will need to take care of himself.
Yes.
So he will need to pay close attention to his, not just his diet, but his overall lifestyle and keeping fit. He will need to ensure that he pays attention to his grooming. And on one of the things you mentioned earlier in our conversation is the impact or the influence of the mother, or let us broaden it to say parenting. And that is critical. That is very important. That the making of good marriage material does not begin in adulthood.
No.
But it begins from conception. From conception. And parenting plays a key role. And when I say parenting here, I'm referring to the presence of both the mother and the father to equip not just the girls with a good education, but with the boys as well, so that the men or the young men are equipped with the necessary skills, financial skills, home skills, so that they are well-rounded to be able to first take care of themselves as an individual, and equip them to be able to take care of a family.
All right. What I would say on this matter is that everything you said is right. I would tell people all the time, I am not domesticated. I can cook, wash, clean, and this is not being domesticated. This is simply being able to have my survival skills in place. That's all it is. And these survival skills is very useful to my family. So I can cook for my family. I can ensure that they are kept clean, and I can provide everything else. And so we have seen domestication. We have used the word, and a man able to do these things, to be domesticated. And it's always a way to put down men when you are able to do the things for yourself without having anyone else to do it for you. It is then seen as if you are some form of lower version of manhood. But not being able to feed yourself. My mother tells me one thing, and I always talk about my mother. If all a woman can do is lie down, then you might want to consider a different approach, because there are a dime a dozen for that purpose. All right? So there must be something else that she will not bring to the table. I'm not going to use that argument of bringing to the table, because my argument is always that the man is always provider of his family. And not that he's provider of his family, but then in this world that is now generating the idea that the social and economic structure, a man is not capable by himself anymore on a standard basis, on an average basis, to take care of his family. And so his wife needs to chip in and take care of his family. And she's working more money than him. And so the whole tag and war start who is in power and who is in charge. Leaving that on the table, as it were, you could pick it up and we can discuss that at length. I would say that to you that at this point, he's responsible for taking care of his family. And so when his woman joins him, he would select a woman who will make a family with him. So,
yes.
And hence take care of the family as well.
Yes. You raise a very important point. We're not going to dwell too much on it, but I would love to say that despite the economic harshness that we experience, very often we could live happier lives with less.
I can guarantee you that line.
We could live
True statement.
happier lives with less and not allow the economic burdens of everyday life to make us pursue, whether it is careers or jobs or activities to earn, that do more harm to the family than good. But I want us to look at some environment that may make it more difficult for an eligible bachelor to be considered marriage material. For example, is it true that all boys institutions, especially the boarding ones, do not produce good marriage material? And what are some other things that would disqualify or would make it more challenging for a man to be considered good marriage material? Just hold your thought, Mikey, and we will continue the discussion after this short break.
When the world quiets down and the noise of the day fades away, that's when the real conversations begin. The ones we hide, the ones we fear, the ones that need to be heard. Conversations After Dark with Mario, where the silence ends and truth begins. Every Wednesday night at 10 p.m., Mario takes you on a journey through the real, raw, and rarely spoken truths that shape our lives. From personal battles to family struggles, community wounds to silent traumas. No topic is too taboo, no story too deep. It's not just talk, it's healing. This is a space where shame is shattered, silence is broken, and truth finally speaks. Conversations After Dark with Mario, every Wednesday at 10 p.m. Only on Flashpoint Radio, www.flashpointmedia.ky. Stay up, speak up, heal forward. When the world quiet.
Welcome back to Flash Talks, the Uncut Edition, and I'm your host, Edgar Bennett, and with me is Mikey G. Mikey G, just before the break, we were looking at, is it that some environment create less than marriage material?
All right. You mentioned the boys' school.
All boys school, all boys boarding institution.
Yes.
As an example.
You know, I could say to you that as time changes, we have been recultured in different ways. I would look at it from that perspective. What the all boys institution could have done 50 years ago, today it's a different mindset, a different kind of environment. It's not the same one. In fact, this environment is producing more of not such a good outcome for the purpose of what is taking place in our world today and the ideologies that have been taught. And we are finding that this is just not. I don't want to go into the conversation in that way, but I would say to you, it brings out, for me, I wouldn't send my son to an all-boys school now, since as this same-sex kind of thing is so rampant.
Yes.
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't send my daughter to an all-girls school because of the nature of the whole thing. I want to be in an environment of a co-ed that they can see the difference between males and females so that they can identify clearly that this is how things function. However, our society don't have a clear example, a lot of clear examples anymore, especially leadership. And so leaders are now more everything else but who they're supposed to be in terms of a man is not no longer can be saying because he has the attributes looking like a man that he is one. You know? And so this is where the thing comes into being a little muddy now. However, yes, all boys school in its best environment or its best highest status should be able to produce more men for the world of marriage, as opposed to it should be, not as opposed to anything else, but it should be able to do that. It should be able to produce these men, because it would teach young men how to be husbands, and this should be a part of the curriculum. Now, if it's not doing that, then the all-boys school is not valuable for anything else more than just say it's all-boys school. You know, yeah. And this conversation is not a simple one either. Yes. Here is where I segue this into the family setting and into for persons who are, claim to have a Christian nation, and that's where we are. We're not Muslims, though we have many different religious beliefs and ideologies amongst us. But we find also that the church plays a very valuable and important role in ensuring that these attributes are obtained through the teachings of the church itself, which means the church not only set values or set standards for values, but also should put in place the training mechanism that trains husbands and trains wives. You know, where the Bible says that I'm going to turn to a church service now, where the Bible suggests that the women should teach the women and children.
Yes.
That's a very big ministry for women. It's the last thing women want to do within our church organization. They want to teach the men instead, and not the women, as the Bible suggests. Yeah. But here is where that's where it gets muddy now. They want to be the teachers of men. And it is not that you're anti-women and anti-women who want leadership or anything like that. Nothing to do with that. But there's a place for the women, for them to be responsible, and there's a place for the men to be responsible. It's like you being a father in your house. You're responsible for being daddy.
Yes.
And the mother is responsible for being mommy. Yes. I think it operates the same way in every field of society. But then there's a job description that comes with something else, and that's when that job description determines that.
Yes.
But roles are simple. They are just you're male and you're female, and those are what you do.
Yes.
So the church should take on the responsibility of training young men to be husbands, and young ladies how to be wives.
Yes.
So when that has failed, you can't blame anybody and say the young people are worthless and that they are wayward and all of that, because your mechanism has failed them completely. And so whatever happens next, they will do. And for your best effort, I mind you, I would add that people will do whatever they want, as you are an elder at some point. And so if you have children and your child decides that he wants to do whatever he chooses to do or she chooses to do, when they come of age, you have no control over that. So you can't be held accountable for their actions. But as long as they're under your roof, or under my roof, they will abide by my principle, and they are in my subordinates who will be taken care of by me.
Yes.
I am responsible.
So Mikey, you have taken the conversation, or you have expanded on the different institutions that influence or nurture a man in becoming good marriage material.
Right.
You have mentioned the home as an institution. You have mentioned the school as an institution. You have mentioned the church as well. I am somewhat biased towards an all boys or all male institution.
I don't like it. Period. I don't like it at all.
I attended Monroe College, and for 7 years, those 7 years, I boarded. But what is important is the purpose and the direction that such an institution instills in young men. And even now, and it is not unique to me, I've heard many ladies say that the students or the men that attended Monroe, they can identify them. There's something different about them. In the same breath, though, I will not discount what you said with regards to what has been happening in society in recent days or in recent times.
That has affected the
ideal.
Yes.
Or some of those ideals.
Yes.
And my wife, for example, would not have sent our sons to Monroe.
No.
If we were
not no.
Yes.
Not no.
Not no.
Not no.
And,
no.
and she taught at several co-ed institutions.
Yes.
And if we were in another location, then we would have had to have a deeper conversation or discussion on the matter. But the important role of institutions cannot be discounted. And you mentioned you mentioned the church.
Yes.
Above and beyond,
yes,
teaching our young men and our young ladies,
yes, mm-hmm,
to be suitable
for marriage.
Suitable for marriage.
Yes.
The church has a responsibility.
At the highest degree.
The highest, yes, to encourage.
Yes.
Our young people, or young men and young women, to form healthy relationships. Because before courtship, before marriage, it is important for us to have healthy relationships, have healthy interactions, have healthy conversations, have healthy recreational activities. And if we do this, we will see a marked difference in how we form relationships later, and those relationships will produce better marriages. But it has to come from earlier on. It has to come from encouraging our young children, how we nurture our young children to relate to each other. And Nike G, you know that I have we have our concerns as it relates to how the different roles in the homes are being advertised or are being, what should I call it? No.
Promoted.
Are being promoted.
Yes.
Now, I find it challenging to refer to. Because growing up, when we heard of elders spoke to a male.
And I would say to you rightly so, what we are looking at is a confusion of how we have done this, right? The young men within the organization, within the church itself,
yes,
sees their mothers superior to their dads. They feel themselves inferior to the woman.
And why is that the case? And how?
Because you have now turned the woman into a man.
How did we get here?
No. You have now turned. This is the thing, and I want to say this. In the standard world of work, anybody can be employed for any job. Anybody can be employed for any job in the standard place of work. Right? A woman can be a manager of the office or the plant or the CEO of any company. She can be the owner of the company. The man can be the owner of a company, and anybody can be anything. When it comes to the home and the church is the same in relation to itself, operates in the same basis. None of those operate outside of the standard, which sets the male in the headship of his house. So if we're going to go there and we talk about this, so what we have done so far, we have confused the youngsters as to saying the mother is elder at home, at church, and the only way she can be elder at church is because she's the head of her home. You can't say you're elder and you're not head of your home, because that's a principle. Every time you say mommy is elder. No, when you hear that, it's like saying mommy is the father. The moment you say elder, you say father at the same time, you know. That's the word you're hearing. That's what you're hearing immediately. And it is difficult for me to say this now and somebody listening to it without being triggered and feeling offended because they have been in a role, assigned a role that it seems like a good idea, but if you listen to the context of it, you have been disenfranchised and you're disenfranchising. If you have sons, your sons. If you have daughters, you have disenfranchised your daughters as well, because your poor daughters think that they are men as well.
Yes. So it's very important then that the men or the boys are trained as leaders from the home.
So here's where I'm going to go. Here's where I'm going to go.
And at school as well.
Let me go with this. Let me share this as an example. If we're going to have young elders training, which the church don't embark upon that so rapidly. I don't hear it anywhere. If it is said, it is fragmentedly said. One set of persons say one thing, another set say something else. But young elders training. If you say you're going to have young elders training, who turns up?
You have women that will turn up.
But it can't happen. Because when you say you're going to have young elders training, it's the same thing you're going to say as you're going to have husband training.
Yes.
If you say you're going to have young elders training is husband training, you know. It's the same thing. It's not one or the other. Because an elder is trained as a husband. Our husband is trained to be an elder. And so what would happen there is that you train the young men to come into their role within their homes and be the spiritual leaders of their homes. How many women here in churches nowadays say you can't find good man not even in a church?
That statement is widely
expressed. Why?
Widely expressed. But
because there's a lot of confusion going on, and there's no one there to set a standard that says these are the qualities of a man. If the qualities of a man is that he's the head of his home and then become an elder, how come his wife become the elder?
Yes, and
that's a quality of a man.
We know that there's an obvious gap where that is concerned.
All right, let's leave that topic there, sir. That's a hot seat, right?
That gap needs to be addressed. But
yeah, I don't want to even talk about it anymore because it's such a, for me, it is so heartrending to see the nonsense that goes on. I'm not going to say that somebody can't do it. I'm not going to say it's not all right for you to do it because God can use anybody he wants to use, and that's fine. I'm going to leave that statement on the books. But
Mikey G, that's for another. We'll have to take that up in another discussion.
Another conversation. But because of the purpose of this conversation, basically segue into it because of the confusion.
Yes.
Not even the church is adequate enough to train young men because it is confusing the young men who they are. And if you don't know who you are, then how you're going to be what you're supposed to be.
Yes. But before we wrap up though, Mikey G, we want to touch on the whole notion of emotional intelligence and how important an ingredient that is, or emotional maturity. How important that is in the material for a good marriage.
You know what I would say?
We hear very often women complaining about
They're
men
not emotionally mature.
not emotionally mature, not emotionally intelligent, they don't know how to treat a
No.
woman, how to love a woman. They're not
Let,
sensitive to their needs. How important is much emotional maturity, emotional intelligence, and what can be done
every every
to
woman
prepare
knows.
to prepare
Every woman knows when she
men.
want to get. Every woman knows when she want to get something from a man. She is going to be kind to him and give him sex. Every woman knows that when she want to get something from a man, seduce him, whatever you want to do, when you want something from him, you're going to be nice to him, rub him head, and give him sex. That's that. That's you're going to get through to him.
Yes.
That's what women knows this. That's why prostitution is. That's why prostitution is such a busy career for many ladies. They know that this information is true. Men love this activity.
Yes.
No. How come the wives don't know that?
But the wives do know this. But I'm looking at it from the perspective of how can men or young men be prepared to be more, say, self-aware, to communicate better, to show empathy.
Firstly,
To be better able to resolve the conflicts.
no, but what's happening now, you realize that marriage is not something that young men want to get into.
And why is it that young men are not wanting to get into marriage?
That's what I'm saying. So the whole marriage argument,
Yes.
that's why I'm saying to you that the church have a responsibility to reteach this nonsense. Because what is being promoted as marriage and the qualifications of it and all the things that's supposed to happen in it has been the downfall of the very institution that God will have created, and man take it and nasty it up, mess it up, completely damage the all the attributes of it. Men are not willing to get married because marriage is a trap. For them, it is where you're going to work hard. You talked about your brother who worked and got his house first. You did that?
Yes.
And he got married to a lady. And when she get divorced in 5 years, she take the house with her. Just like that.
Yes.
Now, how many men? Now, the youngsters come up and say, all right, let me tell you something. A popular notion was that young men came to the island. I'm not going to say anything more than the island. And they come to the island, and so they get married to a nice young lady. And when they get married to the nice young lady, they went off and built a nice home. And when the house is finished, the young lady tell them to go on. Get them off of the island. It's a popular conversation, and they're usually from Jamaica or someplace like that. Right? And this is something that has been said, and it's not something that is a secret. Over time, the newer ones who come decide, I ain't going to get in no relationship, now build no house at all, for nobody run me away when the house
Yes.
finished.
But yes, that happens, Mikey G.
No. So the
thing is,
The chin-up starts the same place.
there are some exceptions where
I agree with you. I agree
you have
with you.
willing women and men who decide to get married.
I agree with you.
And they have certain challenges, because if the gentleman were more trained or nurtured to be more emotionally intelligent or emotionally stable or to communicate better, then he would have been able to lead better in the management of conflicts within a relationship. Because
the conflict of a relationship has nothing to do with managing the conflict in some of these cases. It's just that they have somebody else in mind that they want to live in the house with.
But there are genuine cases where
And so no matter how much conflict, no matter how genuine you are, you can't resolve that because
and we didn't touch,
they want to stay.
one of the things we didn't touch was what are some of the issues, what are some of the other issues that would have negatively impacted a young man, probably in his youth, in his childhood. A clear example is that of abuse, whether it is physical abuse or whether it is sexual abuse,
to do
that
what?
would have negatively impacted that young man and caused him not to be the best material for marriage.
There are a number of things.
There are many other things that we could have mentioned. Notwithstanding, notwithstanding all of those factors, there is still hope. There is still hope that I may not have had the best childhood. I may not have gone to the best school, in quotation. But despite my past and despite where I have been, there is still hope that I can now learn. There is still hope that I can now decide, to my personal choice, to be ambitious, through willpower and with the help of God, become
All right.
the best,
Here's something I
material
want to say to you.
possible. And being that material, being the best person, being that suitable person for marriage, I can now look and search and find a suitable wife.
I would say this to you. That what we have been encountering, and we have not touched on the topic at all, is single family homes where mothers are the ones who raise the boys. And these boys, when you raise them, you're raising them to be like a lady, or they're not going to be functioning. You realize how many men are less manly these days?
Yes, but the question that triggers from that scenario is, where are the men, or where were the men?
Many women, no, that's one way to trigger the scenario, because that's another argument altogether. We can get into all of that. But what I'm saying is, and that is, a lot of time, like for example, a man is not with the lady again because of whatever the reasons are, but he still wants to see his child, his son, for example. He takes over his stuff to show to to give to his son, and the mother says, I'm going to give it, let my son come to see me. No, he can't see him because he's doing his homework. She keeps the son from the father, right? And so you have a lot of these things that goes on, that the women control the narratives and separate them. And the first question is asked, are you still with the woman, the girl Keisha down the road? A little dry foot girl Keisha. You can't see your son. As a punishment for men to be a part of their children or their sons' lives in a lot of ways. So this is just one of many scenarios.
Yes.
However, I would say that the long and short of it is that, and that's why I link it back to the church being the place when you find a situation where the single parent or single mother, and she is aligned to a church group at some point, there should be a mechanism in place that take charge of that youngster to teach him mentorship as a male.
Yes, but thank you for that. Apparently, unfortunately, Mikey, we have run out of time, and we thank the audience for staying with us. There are so many aspects to this conversation, and we cannot exhaust this conversation in just one show. But I would like for us to contemplate the fact that despite the many wrongs that are happening to marriage or to marriages, it is still a beautiful thing. It is still a wonderful thing. And irrespective of where you are in life, whether you are married or you're not married, or you're hoping to be married, whether you're divorced, whether you experience a divorce, your parents may have divorced, please encourage, whether it is your children, your relatives, or your family members, to choose to work on their marriages, because it can be a healthy thing, it can be a beautiful thing. People divorce because they choose to. People have successful, happy marriages because they choose to and they work at it. I won't be the one to judge you as to the decisions that you make. But in life, we have different opportunities. We have different experiences. And I'm not going to allow my experience to color your experience or to color the decisions that you make. But God, we have to remember, and we're not going to take this as the Grand Revival Bible study, but we have to remember too that God had designed, or the purpose for which God designed marriages. And the fact that He designed it means that with Him, it is still more likely that it can be successful and a happy lifelong union. And if we align ourselves with Him, we can be that right person in order to help the other person we choose to have a happy experience or a happy life, a happy union together.
What we know for a fact is this, is that when the government gets involved, and let's do this, and I'm going to just put it on the table like this. The church is no longer responsible for marriage, and marriage was given to the church according to the Bible. If persons get marriage outside of the Christian principle or the biblical principle, then that's all right too. But there's no judge, no justice of the peace, and no 7-Eleven person on a corner in Vegas somewhere who have the right to perform a marriage outside of the office of the church itself and the biblical principle. So far, we realize that the judge on a bench can do it, and it's no more, and the pastor in the church can do it, and he's not more significant than the judge who does it. So something is wrong with marriage, completely wrong with it. It's not where it started, and so because of that poison that has been placed in it, it is not what we are supposed to have. And the reason for it to be so toxic and so disregarding and disrespectful for those who are participating in it, because they first don't know. I would say to you that the one thing that marriage, the ingredient that marriage needs for it to function is two things. Wives, submit to your husbands, and husband, love your wife as Christ loved the church and died for her. That's it. Nothing else. The one thing that no woman wants to do is to submit to her husband. And so if that's not going to happen, and submission is not going to be a part of the package, then you couldn't be expecting a happy, wonderful marriage. Now, if you're in a marriage and you're not loving your wife, and you expect the marriage to work, then you won't expect a happy, loving environment and happy, right? So there's two elements that needs to happen. And this unfortunate thing is that this same principle applies to the church, that Christ is head of his house or head of the church, and the church submits to Christ. Yes. Just the same way as man is head of his house and the wife submits to him. Now, when that don't happen, if the church don't submit to Christ, will Christ come for the church?
Yes.
No. The answer to this question: if the church do not submit to Christ, will he come for that church that don't submit to him?
The church that Christ will come for is the church that submits to him.
So the one that don't submit to him will not come for that one. So why should a man then have an unsubmissive wife who do not want to submit to him? No, this submission sounds like somebody want to kick and beat people and all that nonsense.
Yes.
That's not what it is, because every time a woman goes to her job, she submits to her boss, and every time the boss, everything the boss wants, she does it.
Mikey, we have to have part 2 to this discussion. We have to have part 2 to this discussion.
But you don't want to submit to the man who actually give her a status above all the single women around.
But based on your comments though, if there's one thing we can take away from what a man should possess, or the material that he should be made of, is that he should be willing and able to love his wife.
And here's the last thing I'll say, Edgar. if you have a husband, I'm talking to the women now. If you have a husband and you're flaring up and you're triggered by the conversation, you say, well, women are submitting. You shouldn't marry to that man. A wrong man you marry to. You can't submit to him. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, and that takes us back to the point that we need to encourage our young people in how they form relationships, because long before you reach to that point where you discover that this person was not the best person for me.
And at what point did you reach that stage though?
Yes, you would have
gone to college now. You'd have gotten a chance to go to university.
You would have understood.
And you start to get a new job. You start to have colleagues now. And the person we have at home is not the qualified one that you can sit around with, because the colleagues smell better than him at home.
So it's very important that we form good relationships, that we be the right persons, and that we develop ourselves and develop each other so that we can make our lives better, we can enhance the lives of others. And while we occupy till he comes for us, we submit to him and love each other as we love ourselves. Well, audience, thank you for joining us for another episode of Flash Talks, the Uncut Edition. And thank you, Mikey G, for your insightful comments and provoking thoughts. If tonight's conversation challenged you, encouraged you, or made you think differently, please share this broadcast with someone else. Don't forget to subscribe, follow Flashpoint Media on all our social media platforms, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. I'm Edgar Bennett. Until next time, keep growing, keep learning, and keep having the conversations that matter. Good night, and God bless you abundantly.